Did you notice something felt off in Brawl Ball this week? Like you shoot the ball and it just doesn't go where it's supposed to. Or you're mid-game, someone blows up a wall, and suddenly the ball is somewhere completely different. Not because someone kicked it, not because of a super, it just moved. Yeah, we need to talk about what Supercell just did to this game. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Before this update, there was a bug in Brawl Ball, and it was a pretty significant one. The issue was this: if a wall got destroyed at the exact same moment the ball was nearby, the ball would still collide with what the game thought as an invisible wall. Basically, the wall's collision box would still register for a split second even after the wall broke. And when the ball hit that phantom collision, it would snap or outright teleport to a completely different spot on the map. This is the kind of bug that sounds minor on paper until it happens in a ranked game with 5 seconds left on the clock. You're going for the winning goal, a teammate pops the wall with their super, and the ball just warps across the field. Game over. Loss. So here's where this gets interesting. To fix this, Supercell didn't just patch the collision detection on wall destruction, they went deeper. They changed the entire way the ball physically behaves in the game. The April 2026 release now state, quote, "Ball behavior has been updated in Brawl Ball and Brawl Hockey using physics-based calculation. It should feel slightly different when shooting the ball or puck, but with similar distance and timing. This fixes issues with the ball occasionally spinning out of control when the environment was destroyed." Now on the surface this sounds great. They found the root cause. The old system was properly calculating ball behavior in real time when the environment changed it around, and they rebuilt it on a more accurate physics foundation. But here's the problem with touching something that is fundamentally in the game people have been playing for years. Everything feels different now. If you jumped into Brawl Ball since this update dropped, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The ball bounce angles feel wrong. If you're used to banking a shot off the side while at a specific angle to score, that shot does not land the same way anymore. The angle comes off differently. The distance feels slightly off. And it's not just about shots on goal. The general weight of the ball feels different. When you pass it to a teammate, when it deflects off a brawler, when it ricochets off a wall during chaotic team fight, it all just moves differently than normal. Supercell said in the patch notes it should have similar distance and timing to before, and I want to give them credit for trying to communicate that. But similar is not the same. And in a game where people have spent hundreds or thousands of hours in Brawl Ball specifically, similar is enough to completely throw off your game. And here's the thing, it's not isolated to the ball itself. Players are noticing that aiming in general just feels a little off since this update. Now part of this is probably because the physics engine that governs the ball is deeply connected to how other throwable objects and interactions work in the game. When you change the physics calculations at a foundational level, you're not just changing one thing, you're potentially changing how every object in the game responds. There is also this. Brawl Ball is one of the most mechanically game modes in Brawl Stars. It rewards tight, precise play, knowing exactly where to stand to get a clean shot on goal, knowing the angles, knowing how the ball will behave when it bounces off a wall at a certain speed. That is a skill that takes time to build. When the physics change, that skill doesn't transfer cleanly. You're not starting from zero, but you are relearning. And nobody asked to relearn a game mode they've already mastered. Here's what really gets me all about this. Supercell flagged this as a bug fix, a minor line in the patch notes. They said it should feel slightly different, which is one of those sentences that sounds like they're being upfront but also kind of buries the lead. Slightly different doesn't capture what it feels to miss a shot that you made 1,000 times because the ball physics are now calculated differently. Slightly different doesn't capture a Brawl Hockey player who has the ricochet angles of every map memorized, now having to relearn them. Okay, I want to take a second away from the physics stuff because there's another part of this update that we need to talk about. And this was actually more of a mixed bag than a straight up problem. The oddity shop. Supercell's big Blink overhaul. So here's the context. Blink has been broken as a currency for a while. Players were just sitting on insane amounts of Blink but had nothing exciting to spend it on. The old catalog had every skin available at any time, which sounds great in theory, but in practice it killed any sense of excitement or urgency around cosmetic. Nothing felt special, nothing felt earned. Supercell knew this was a problem. They actually put out in a blog post weeks before this update admitted to it. They said Bling was inflating, players weren't spending it, and the system wasn't working the way they intended. So the solution? The oddity shop. The idea that instead of an endless catalog you can browse whenever you want. You now get a rotating set of personalized bundles that refresh daily. Bundles that include skins, pins, sprays, progression items like star drops. This costs anywhere from nothing all the way to completely free. And then honestly, as a concept, I actually like this. Personalized offers based on brawlers you actually play. A reason to check the shop every day. The chance to snag a mythic or legendary skin for bling instead of gems. For a first time, Blink can actually get you even progression items, not just cosmetics. That is genuinely new and really good. The problem is that this update took 2 months. 2 months of waiting since the last major content drop, and Supercell came out of that with 3 new brawlers, a physics rework, and a redesigned shop. And while the shop redesign is nice, it's not exactly the kind of thing that makes you feel like the wait was worth it. Because think about what we didn't get. No major new permanent game mode, no huge systematic change to rank, no fix to some of the long-running issues the community has been vocal about. The oddity shop is a quality of life improvement to how you spend a currency. That's valuable, but it's not the headline feature you expect after a 2-month development gap. The community deserves more than a roaring storefront after 2 months, and I think deep down, even players who genuinely like the oddity shop would agree that. And then, as if to perfectly cap off this update, the oddity shop launched and immediately had a major bug. Right after the update went live, players started noticing something was very wrong. The new oddity shop wasn't just showing random bundles. For some players, it was showing things that were never supposed to be there at all. We're talking exclusive pins, official Supercell creator icons, old Maturino winner pins, cosmetics that were earned through competitive events and were never meant to be in the shop. Rare, limited items that derive their entire value from the fact that only a small number of people in the world have them. And they were just sitting in the oddity shop for Blink, available to anyone whose shop happened to roll them. Creators were posting about it immediately. Exclusive player icons, sprays, pins, and now sold in the shop for everybody. The response online was split right down the middle. Players who got the glitch offers were excited, and people who didn't have them were furious. And the people who had legitimately earned those exclusive items over years of competitive play, they were underestimatedly devastated. Because that's the thing about exclusivity in a game like this. Those pins, those icons, those rare cosmetics, they're not just pretty pictures, they're proof of something. Proof that you were there, proof that you competed and won. When that proof suddenly becomes available to anyone whose shop refreshed at the right time, it loses all meaning. And look, bugs happen, especially on the launch day of a brand new system, I get that. But this particular bug hit at the worst possible intersection. A brand new shop rolling out exclusive items incorrectly on the same day the community was already frustrated about physics change. The timing could not have been worse. For a feature that was supposed to make cosmetics feel more meaningful, the oddity shop first day made some of the game's most meaningful cosmetics feel meaningless. Okay, let's talk about balance changes, because this is another area where this update just didn't go far enough. On paper, the April 2026 balance patch had a decent amount of changes. Some good buffs. Lumi got a much needed health buff and a projectile speed buff. Daryl's super damage got nearly doubled. Surge's cycling supers faster. Draker got tankier. These are all reasonable, welcome changes. But when you look at the nerfs list, something immediately jumps out. Or more accurately, something jumps out by not being on it. Crow. Crow's buff piece earlier this year brought him back from irrelevance and genuinely made him a strong pick again. That's great in theory. The problem is that his gadget, where his poison both damages the enemies and gives him a shield back, combined with his mobility, makes him extremely hard to punch in the right hands. The community has been vocal about this for weeks, and yet not a single adjustment in the April balance changes. No touch on his heal rate, no touch on his poison damage scaling, nothing. Clancy is another one. He did get a small nerf this patch, notes. His main attack range was reduced from 25 to 23, but people who have been dealing with Clancy at higher trophy counts will tell you that's not nearly enough. His level up mechanic, where he progressively gets more powerful mid-match, still snowballs in ways that feel almost impossible to counter once he gets going. 2 tiles off his range doesn't solve that. Look, balance changes will never be perfect. You can't fix everything in one go, and Supercell clearly made some good calls for this patch, but when the community is loudly and consistently pointing at specific problem brawlers, and those brawlers come out of the patch notes mostly untouched, it sends a message that either the team isn't seeing what the player base sees, or they're deliberately leaving it for a later patch. Neither of those is a great look. And speaking of things not being addressed, the upcoming maintenance balance changes leaked for April 28 shows nerf to Crow finally coming, along with Damian, Bull, and Sirius, which tells you everything. The community was right. These brawlers needed nerfs, and it took player backlash and a leaked follow maintenance to get there. If those problems were obvious enough to schedule emergency nerfs within a week of launch, they're obviously enough to be in the original patch. And now let's talk about Damian, because oh boy. Damian is the Brawl Stars 102nd brawler released on April 24th. On paper, his kit is genuinely creative, a 3-punch combo where his explosive third hit knocks back, burns, and creates a delayed AoE explosion. His super lets him leap to a mosh pit, a speaker arena that traps enemies. His hypercharge sets the ground on fire when he lands. It's a cool concept and it's a great design. But within hours of release, the community consensus was unanimous. Damian is broken. His damage output is massive. His super is incredibly hard to escape once you're caught in it. His trip charges super from damage received, meaning the more you hit him, the stronger he gets, punishing any aggressive playstyle. Players who've been in this game since 2018 are calling him one of the worst releases they ever seen. Not because he's unfun to play. If you're using Damian, great. But playing against him feels like there's genuinely no counterplay. Community members described it as creating unplayable conditions. Then it got worse. Damian started crashing entire lobbies. Error 43 started popping up for all players in his matches. The community noticed immediately. League balance changes for April 28 shows Damian getting significant nerfs, lower supercharge rate, reduced jump range, less wall bounce damage, weaker basic attack. Good, but this is a brawler who clearly overpowered before he even went live. The people playtesting this eternally had to have known. And this is a pattern. New brawler releases are broken. The community screams, emergency nerfs fall into maintenance. All it feels like clockwork at this point. And it matters because when a brawler launches overpowered, it poisons the mana for everyone who doesn't have them, and pressures players to spend money just to stay competitive. Whether it's intentional or not, and I'm not saying it is, it's the problem that keeps repeating, and the community is tired of it. Now, here's one thing I want to leave you with. There is a maintenance coming up. Supercell dropped these in between major updates to push balance changes and fix things that slip through the cracks. And honestly, I'm really hoping that when that maintenance lands, we see something addressing all of this. Whether that is a tweak to the new physics values, a fix for the aiming inconsistencies, or even just an official acknowledgement saying, hey, we heard you, we're looking at this, or something. Anything. Because right now, the silence from Supercell on how different this actually feels is louder than the patch notes themselves. The timing is actually perfect. The community had just had enough time since the April update to feel the problem, talk about it, clip it, and make some noise about it. If Supercell is paying attention, and they usually are, this maintenance is our first real opportunity to respond. Let me know in the comments. Do you want them to reverse the physics, tweak it, or just leave it and let players adjust? And if you already noticed the ball behavior being off, drop a clip or a description below. The more the community documents this, the harder it is for Supercell to ignore it. Like if this helped, subscribe if you're new, and I'll be keeping a close eye on the maintenance. If something changes, I'll cover it. See you in the next one.